Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin, and today I have a Get Ready With Me where I'm answering your questions. So you guys asked for me to do a peachy look, coral look, and the dogs are so upset. And so I ended up picking out my Quarter Rosa palette, so that is how I got this look here. So I kind of show that you guys can get this peachy look with the Quarter Rosa, and you don't need the Bloom palette if you already have the Quarter Rosa in your collection. We go over some questions about my work, how I'm doing, how I met my husband, how the dogs are doing. I talk a little bit about my health and well-being. So if you guys are interested in this long video, because obviously I've seen the timestamp on the prior section of video, if you guys are ready for a long Get Ready With Me chit chat video that you guys can just have on in the background, you know, your friend Erin just hanging out with you while you get some stuff done, then stick around. I am coming at you barefaced and with an actual shirt on in the prior clip because I got hot while filming, so the shirt came off. But I'm coming at you barefaced, ready to do my makeup, ready to answer your questions, and we're getting into it right now. All right, so hopefully All Done Up Erin does an intro to this video, but this is the Chatty Get Ready With Me that I have been promising, and one of you guys did ask me to do a corally look, so I wanted to actually pull out my Sigma Quarter Rosa just to kind of show you guys how much this compares or how you can get those more coral looks out of this palette instead of feeling like you need to buy the Natasha Denona Bloom palette. But I have my skincare on, and actually my skin is looking pretty good today, and depending on what topics I go over, I might talk about my skin and what I feel might have helped. But I am not going to necessarily talk about the products. I am just going to put them on my face because you guys know what's in my collection and you know what my favorites are. But we will get into... I'm just going to go through the questions. A few of you left questions on my community tab. A few of you left questions in my comment section of my last video, so I will just go over those. And actually, we are getting ready today because it is 8:40 in the morning. We are going to be going down to Destin for the day to do some shopping and just hanging out, but it is a very rainy day. We are in our rainy season, but no particular order on these, which might do me a disservice, but I just don't have it in my brain to start organizing all of these questions. But so we have, how do you organize your makeup sheets? How do you store your makeup in a way that you know everything you have? And do you look at your collection before buying any makeup? So I will say, since that's 3 questions that we can kind of break down, and I have my foundation mix on my foundation palette, but I can kind of break that down a little bit more because it's 3 kind of different questions. So how do I organize my makeup sheets? I have a couple videos where I run through with you guys what my actual makeup inventory sheets look like. I will try to link those down below, but over the last couple years I have figured out a system that works for me, and I do also link my Google Drive sheets, and I will consistently have dog hair stuck in my gripping primer and in my makeup, so don't mind me picking off dog hairs. But I have a link to my Google Sheets in my description box. I will link that down there as well. It is a read only, so you guys will have to copy and paste the actual formulas out of that one and put it into your own program. I personally use Numbers, which is the Apple equivalent to Excel. So I basically use that on all of my Apple devices, and it syncs between the cloud. But that is how I organize my sheets. I also organize my sheets kind of sorta in a order of application, so that makes it feel better in my brain that I know where everything is. But so for me, I do one layer of foundation, then I do my eyes, and then I go in for the rest of my face, just in case I need to like wipe away any fallout. My entire complexion isn't done yet. But look at how like I am just squeezing out the little pieces of this Milani eyeshadow primer. Really, I will say, because I think another question further down is like any tips and tricks to like a new panner. And really, it is organizing in a way that makes sense to you. So if it makes sense to organize your sheets as far as like in the order that you do your makeup, then organize them that way. You know, I mean, what works for me necessarily won't work for you, and that's okay. My brushes are right under my microphone, so if you hear them clicking around in a little cup down there, that's I'm picking up my brushes. But yeah, organize it in a way that feels right for you. It took me a couple years to figure out a system that works for me, and I don't feel like that was time not well spent, because everybody's brain thinks differently, and I have definitely figured that out as far as like us returning to the office and me working in a conference room space with multiple providers. All of our brains work differently on how we organize our schedules, how we organize our patients, all of that. So very much do what works for you. I'm not necessarily going to be pointing out the brushes that I'm using, but I do have like the Singe brushes in here. I have some Sephora brushes, some Sigma brushes, some Nakia Joy brushes, and then some Morphe brushes in here from long ago. But we're going to be going into Quarter Rosa. Again, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be like putting up on the screen. Maybe I'll point to the shade that I'm using if you guys want to follow along. But I kind of feel like I want to go with a more pinky look today, so I'm going to start with Hybrid and with a fluffy brush. And then, so the second part is, do I store my makeup in a way that I know that I have everything? So yes. So there is some backup in certain drawers, but otherwise I store all of my categories together. So I store all of my blushes together, all of my bronzers together, all of my concealers together, so that I know that, yes, while I might have one or two concealers open, I'm not like hiding like 15 concealers in backup. And then my brain has this scarcity moment that, oh my God, I don't have enough concealers. No, all of my concealers are in one container, and oh, I have them latched together, but like this container right here, that is all my concealers. So they are right there in the forefront, and the way that I organize them in my drawers is kind of the order of application. So like primer, SPF, concealer, powder is here. Then like eyeliner, brows, mascara is here. Then we have over here, we have like blush, bronzer, highlight. Then we have like lips. So like, again, everything kind of flows down the drawers, and that helps my brain kind of understand what's the next step. Or, you know, I know that if this drawer is starting to look a little bit scarce, then that's when I need to go ahead and try to pick something else up. But to look at the next question of, do I look at my makeup collection before I make a purchase? So yes and no. So yes, in the sense that I did that a lot when I was learning to kind of calm down my purchasing behaviors. And that is a good way of kind of challenging an anxiety of fear of missing out, the scarcity mindset, the kind of feeling of, if I don't pick this up, it could be the one, and then I'm like missing out on knowing what is the perfect thing, even though you have 15 of that thing in your collection. So it really did help me. What do I want to go in next? Either Summer Song or Shakespeare, these two right here. I think I might mix those together and put those on, because I do want a little bit of a berry, but I like that like that fiery terracotta. So that's just going to go on the outer corner. Same brush. So I've gotten to the point where I can do my makeup using like 2 brushes, and I'm totally cool with that. But yes, I used to look at my collection a lot before making purchases because I would have to remind myself that I'm not running out, that I have new and exciting things to try, that I'm not missing out, that, you know, it's also like I follow other YouTubers that don't have the same skin type as me. So while I appreciate their reviews and I trust their reviews, everything that works for them is not going to work for me. So I also have to remind myself that while that thing looked beautiful on them, it might not look beautiful on me and it might not work. So I can admire it from afar because I know I have a concealer that suits my skin type already in my collection. So that, it was more of a reminder, because if you think about the out of sight, out of mind, like saying, it is absolutely true. If we do not have a handle on what is in our lives, we're going to constantly be searching for more. I had to shut my door and all the puppy dogs left because my husband is eating something in the kitchen, so they are all begging for food. But yes, you always have to keep things kind of on the forefront of your mind. But this is a really good shape of where I want to be right now. Again, it looks crazy when you don't have the rest of your makeup on, but I'm just going to take the same fluffy brush. I'm going to go back into Hybrid and just do that under my lower lash line. And I also like to do my eyeshadow before I do my concealer because if I have eyeshadow underneath my eyes, I don't take my concealer all the way up. And so I have eyeshadow in my wrinkles and not concealer. So that seems to work out well for me as far as to prevent creasing. But that was the entire matte eye look with just one brush. And that is how I like to be because I don't want to be washing my brushes all the time. I'm going to go in with some glitter glue and then we're going to pop one of these shimmers on the lid. So if you feel like you're having difficulty like purchasing in one category, then I would say absolutely. Like I used to, and again, this was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I would look at my budget, I would look at my inventory like 3 times a week. Like it became obsessive behavior. And the thing is I needed to kind of replace one obsessive behavior with a different obsessive behavior. And again, this is just what works in my mind. I know that I am a trained therapist, but this is me, Erin, putting on makeup. This is not professional advice because I look like Uncle Fester right now. So we are definitely not taking professional advice from me. I am just telling you guys what worked for me and what worked for my brain. Disclaimer, big across the screen. Because we will protect our licenses with a death grip, that is for sure. And the most beautiful shimmer in here is Belle of the Ball, and I might go in with a little bit of High Society on the outer corner as well. But like I said, I had to replace one obsessive behavior with another until I felt like I had balance. So that obsessive behavior came from like I wanted to spend all my money and buy all the things, and I changed that to saving all my money and like being very stringent about what I was buying. So that was the big mindset shift, and I needed to do that. Nowadays, like I opened my spreadsheets a couple days ago to update for my buys and buys video that I might film later on today with the same look. But that was the last time that I went into my spreadsheets like all month. And part of it is because my brain is so focused on other things that my brain's kind of like, hey, you got this on kind of autopilot. You don't need to be like constantly looking at this. And actually, in the month of April, I hardly spent any money on makeup at all. So, but this is where we're leaving the eye look for right now. It'll come together. Right now we look a little bit crazy, but it'll come together. And because it is before 9 o'clock in the morning, I am still drinking my coffee. So now I do my brows so that I'll look a little bit less crazy. So you look at your spreadsheet as much as you need to. You look at your collection as much as you need to. I think that also the impulse control of, adding something to your favorites list or adding something to your cart, but not purchasing it and giving yourself a few days to kind of like really think. Because I wanted to buy one of those Gucci blushes, and I'm like, Erin, that is a $49 blush. And you have 20 blushes in your collection that like you hardly get through those using them 10 times each in the year. So why are you going to go and spend close to $50 on a blush with cute packaging? Like, that's the only reason I wanted it. I have all those colors. I just wanted it because the packaging is gorgeous. And so I was like, you know what? You have other pretty things around. And that's where I had to remind myself that also packaging is just packaging. And it's the product that's inside that matters. And I think that that mindset shift also is, because bless it. So like I have a couple pairs of like the teak shoes, and I used to wear those to work before my feet like revolted on me and I needed to have shots and like almost had surgery, and I was spending more money at the podiatrist than anything else. But I mean, I'll still wear my teaks if I like need to dress up for like a meeting or something like that. But otherwise, like I need to be in sneakers because I have special insoles. Like I said, I almost needed surgery. So like I just ordered myself a new pair of Hokas to wear. And I mean, my Hokas were $140. Like, so don't think that just because you're not buying fancy stuff or like the name brand or like the luxury stuff, if you're buying good quality stuff for yourself, it's still going to be expensive. All right, brows are on. I feel a little bit better. Because I dye my hair darker than my natural hair color, my brows always look weird until my brows are on. So let's look at, do I look at my collection before buying makeup? Yes. Yes, still. It's not like the drive to buy all the things is not as heavy as it was a couple years ago because I've done these like conditioning things with my brain. But when I need to, I still do 100%. You have to remind yourself what you actually still have. I am scraping at the edges of my Natasha Denona concealer. I think I need to take the stopper out of this one. So this is a question. How have the pups adjusted to you not being home all the time since you have shifted your work schedule? And more importantly, are you doing okay? You mean a lot to us. You guys mean a lot to me too. And me filming this video on the day that it's supposed to go up and me possibly editing this while my husband drives us down to Destin, like that is rude. That probably just traumatized all of you guys with an alarm going off. But like that's my reality right now. And it sucks and it's not okay. Like the majority of this week I have been like crashing out, going to bed before 9 o'clock because I'm just so exhausted. Like mentally, physically, like we got even more like stupid news yesterday at work. Oh, no. Stupid news yesterday and stupid news on Thursday. So like the stupidity goes on. They are basically making it impossible for us to do our jobs. And unfortunately, when they make it impossible for us to do our jobs, and then they look at the bean counters, look at the numbers only, and they're like, oh, well, you guys aren't productive and you guys aren't meeting your numbers and you're not hitting your quotas of notes and blah, 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 or your notes are late. Like, we're sitting here saying, you guys put these constraints on us. You guys are the ones not going to bat and saying, no, these particular programs are special because of the type of job that they do. But the higher ups who have never done our job, and most of them are not clinicians, they're just like business majors or politicians, like they're not going to care that they put the constraints on us that we couldn't do our job. They're just going to care that our job's not getting done. And it feels like an absolute lose-lose situation. There's been plenty of articles published out there about what's going on. And again, I'm not trying to get fired. I'm not trying to get quoted by by a news outlet if somebody stumbles upon my video. So all of this is supposes and alleged. So I'm not saying anything. Okay. My husband just texted me. I need all of these devices to stop dinging. That would be effing fabulous. You can see how just overstimulated my brain is because I can't even deal with my devices dinging at me at all. I can't. So, but I'm doing my job. I'm doing the job the best I can, and if the bean counters are unhappy, then they can change our policies. And they can stand up for us, and they can say it's impossible for them to do our job. I had told you guys before that part of my job is going out to meet my clients in their homes. But with the return to work order, they're telling us that we can't document anywhere but in the office. So if I'm doing what we called an episode of care, if I'm doing an episode of care in a client's home, you're telling me I cannot open my computer, I cannot log on to the charting system, I cannot document during my episode of care. I have to wait until I'm back in the office to document my episode of care. Well, guess what? That doesn't happen. The amount of times I'm driving an hour and a half to 2 hours to visit my clients. So if you want me to have my documentation in on time, then you're going to have to let me document during the episode of care. Not only that, but just think about all the errors that could happen if somebody's not documenting during the episode of care or even right afterwards. When I worked at hospice, like we could document from wherever we wanted, or I could I could drive down the street from the home that I was in, and I could document in a parking lot to just get it done, get the information in the chart as soon as possible. So there's just so many issues, and I've told you guys I'm a clinical social worker, and so finally our big ethical entity, the NASW, has finally released a statement stating that some of these practices are putting our licenses at jeopardy. And the organization doesn't care. They don't care. So why should we care? That's my question. If I worked my behind off to get my licensure and paid a crap ton of money to get my degree, why should I care if you don't care about protecting my license? It is insane. I have my next follow-up with my therapist on Tuesday. So I will see how that goes. But it's hard when you know what you should be doing, and when you're holding your boundaries, when you're doing all this stuff, and when you are completely out of control of a situation, you can just sit back and be like, I can just do what I can do. That's it. But that doesn't help the anxiety because you don't have control over things. So I'm just trying to find that happy medium. I am basically holding my boundaries with, we were actually told, so when we had our telework packages, I would log on Sundays and get caught up and not charge for my time. So they were getting tons of free time out of all of us. But now, Nope, this is my time. They get none of it. And that's how everybody is feeling. Because if you set all these rules and you don't treat us like adults, then we're going to be like, okay, then treat us like kids and we'll follow the rules and you'll see what happens. But unfortunately, that means that we're trying our hardest to where our clients are not the ones that suffer, that our clients are not the ones that notice. And that's a hard part too, that you do kind of have to put on that mask. And, we're just sitting there trying to prioritize. And, patient care is always going to be the priority. Always. Patient safety is always going to be the priority. But that means that all the other stuff that the bean counters are looking at, because they're not clinicians, they're not going to understand that we didn't get X, Y, and Z done because patient care and patient safety was the priority. So it feels like a lose situation. As far as the dogs, Washburn is having really bad separation anxiety. He has started to chew up stuff around the house again. He is like clinging to me by the time I get home. And I love that you asked this, but even the tone that we're getting from leadership is that we are being crybabies about wanting to work from home because we just want to sit in our pajamas and be comfortable. That is what we're being told about our pushback, which is a great thing for morale. But the issue is, am I concerned about my dog? Absolutely. Am I crying that I have to go into the clinic because we decided to get a puppy a year and a half ago? No, that's life. I had a job prior to this one where I did report to the clinic every day, and that's when we had a lot of our dogs too. So that's not it. I don't want to just sit in my pajamas. I don't want to just work from bed. I don't want to just slack off all day, because we are still busy. We're still getting the job done. We just weren't shoved in a room full of other providers doing it at the same time with possible HIPAA violations going on. That stuff, that law that they have in place for your privacy and safety. But dogs are not okay. And it is what it is. That just means that I am taking more leave. So like the other day, my husband went to one of his shooting competitions. Have I ever told you guys that? I know I told a couple of you guys in like DMs, but again, I'm married to an Army guy. It is what it is. So he does shooting competitions. So he went to one that he was gone all weekend, and he had to leave on a Friday to get there. And basically, I took that Friday off work. I took a vacation day. I was like, because my dogs cannot be alone for 10 hours. So I took the day off. And I have plenty of leave to be able to do that. So I am not concerned. And they can't say no to our leave requests. There was another day where we had a vehicle in the shop, and I took the day off because if I could still telework, then my car could be in the shop and I could still work all day. But since I don't have a vehicle to get me to the office, which is what you guys are demanding, then I took the day off. I did sit in my pajamas on leave and did whatever I wanted that day. So again, it's controlling what I can control in the situation, and the only thing that I can control is me. So I am putting in more leave days to take days off. I used to be able to like only take a half day to do a doctor's appointment, but now since the expectation would be that I was driving from the office, which is an hour away from my house, anytime that I have a doctor's appointment, I'm taking the full day off. Again, productivity. Like you take us out of our environments in which we live and in which our clients live, and productivity goes down. So that is kind of what we are up against. I'm trying to fight this with terms that the bean counters will understand. like productivity, so that they don't just think that we are whining because we want to just work in our pajamas. But I mean, you guys know by my makeup use, I got up every single day, I put on a full face of makeup, and I did what I needed to do. So that is here nor there. I'm getting hot, so I'm going to take this off. I have a little sports bra on underneath, so I'm not naked, but I'll go ahead and I'm going to take this off real quick. Say, I was cold, but then the lights came on. So dogs are not okay, but it is what it is. I'm doing what I can. I'm holding my boundary with what I need, and I am not giving more than what I'm getting paid for. Whatever my expectations say on my job description, that's what they're getting out of me. Nothing more. Nothing more. So and my therapist backed me up 100% with that. She's like, you shouldn't. If they're not going to trust you, if they're going to call you lazy, then they will get exactly what is written in your job description, and that's it. So, but it's still it's in your heart. Like, nobody goes into social work to be like, oh, I'm going to not go above and beyond. We all are in this because we want to help people. So I just help people between 7 o'clock and 4:30. That's it. Look at this. I'm a little sneak peek, but I'm still using this. I'm still trying to get more and more work on this blush done. But let's see here. Any advice for a beginning panner? Start with panning what you love. Don't start off with hate panning. So if you're like, oh, well, I need to start panning the oldest things in my collection, don't do that, because they might be the oldest things in your collection because you don't like them and you're not reaching for them. So I would say start with panning with what you love and kind of get into the routine of, even though it is a rainy day, I am going to bronze myself up like I have been in the sun. But yes, pan what you love. Some people find tracking helpful, some people don't. So again, just do whatever makes you feel good. If it's panning like a full face or just starting with 5 products, figure out what your makeup usage is and then have realistic expectations for yourself. So I have been working on this blush. I mean, I bought it in 2017 and I have been actively working on it for almost 2 years. So you're not going to go through a blush in 6 months. If you don't like wearing foundation, you're not going to go through 3 foundations a year. Bronzers take forever. So have realistic expectations for yourself. Watch some other panners that have maybe the same makeup uses as you, and it'll give you an idea about where you might sit in the makeup use space. Kind of think of it that way. Oh, I liked this one. Before I move on to, oh, I didn't get my setting spray. I'll have to get my setting spray. So this one is favorite K-pop song, since you mentioned knowing Ice on My Teeth in a previous video, or other favorite song media right now. Okay, yeah. So I mentioned I like ATs, but I don't like Ice on My Teeth because they rhymed tennis with tennis and it's lazy. There's so many other things that you can rhyme with tennis instead of having 2 lines back to back with the lyric tennis. Otherwise, the video's fire. I could watch that video all day long for research purposes. But so right now, I am loving, so is it Jake? So JVKE is the guy who sang Golden Hour. I am obsessed with his music. Because somebody else asked about my writing. So I will put on his music and just pour out an emotional scene. If my heart could write music, it would sound like his music. That is where I'm at. So anything right now, Pretty, I Can't Help It, and Moon and Back are my favorites from him. Like, just put those loud and just like let your emotions go. Otherwise, let's see. So favorite K-pop song. So my favorite K-pop group is Stray Kids. So I'm a stay-ish. Um, I have like one piece of like Stray Kids merch that I ordered off of Etsy, but otherwise like that's it. I see some of these people on TikTok and like their whole rooms, and don't get me wrong. When I was younger, I had a whole wall in my room dedicated to Hanson, like all the posters from the Teen Beats, everything like that. So don't get me wrong. Like, I get it. But part of me is like, good Lord. I have a mortgage to pay. I can't do, and I know that they're about to start their American tour, and I'm not going to any of the shows. The closest ones would be Atlanta or Orlando. But knowing me, number one, I would be going by myself. So I'd probably go to Orlando. And also knowing me, I'd want to be in the pit. So I don't have $1,500 to spend on a K-pop concert right now. So my favorite song, and this will be showing you what my bias is, but you know, Railway, can you go wrong with that? But as far as like my favorite song by Stray Kids that like gets me pumped every time would be Thunderous. Like you can't listen to that song without doing the dance and without feeling hyped. Like that one, and let me see what else is a good one. Backdoor is a good one. Charmer is a good one. Let's see. Venom is good. Oh God. I'm scrolling through my likes on my YouTube music, and there's a lot of Stray Kids on here. Let's see here. God's Menu. There's the You Can't Hold My Heart by Monsta X. That's a really good one. Let's see here. I'm trying to think what else. So there's the Pirate King by ATEEZ that every time it comes on when we're in the car, my husband like looks at me like, what are they talking about? So sometimes with some of the lyrics, I'm just like, okay, let's back it up here. Um, let's see. I have some SF9 in here. I have some GOT7 in here. So there's a big like mixture of stuff along with like some techno, some EDM, some Alan Walker. I have some stuff by The Weeknd. Like there's such an eclectic mix in here that it is. If I like a song, I add it to my list and it goes into the rotation. There's Billie Eilish in here. There's Kygo, Ilium. They're actually one of my favorite like EDM. Like if they did a song with Jake and Ilium, and that song is amazing. What is that song called? I have it up at the top because I just liked that one. That one is With All My Heart. That song is so, so good. As far as like other media, right now, like I rewatched some K-dramas as long as they had English dubbing because I wanted to be able to actually I wanted to be able to do other things while I watched and not have to read subtitles. So I rewatched some K-dramas, but otherwise I've been just listening to music. I've been writing. I've been watching, you know, some YouTube. Some of my friends here on YouTube, I'll watch their channels, and then I have been watching like documentaries on YouTube, and then I'm falling asleep watching like mega episodes of the How It's Made because that just relaxes my brain. So that is what I am consuming right now. Let's see. Is there any products that you regret panning, like something you wish you'd thrown out, or something you are still missing? Do you speak any other languages? No, I do not speak any other languages apart from sometimes broken English because of my dyslexia. I took American Sign Language in high school, and I remember a little bit of it. I'm 40, so I've been out of high school for a little while, but I do not speak any other languages. And I don't know, languages have always been hard for me because of the dyslexia. I think that if I would have started learning a language when I was young and my mouth would have learned to make the sounds, but nowadays, again, like I'll watch dramas and I'll like try to like imitate some of the words and my mouth just will not make the sounds. So I think that if I practice really hard, but there's some languages where the mouth sounds are just so different that I can't. I don't think that I will ever learn another language. And I mean, I hate that, but also I'm okay with it because I'm not going to torture myself. Anything that I regret panning or anything that I wished I had like hung around more. I don't know. I don't think there's anything that I regret panning because I think that you guys have been really supportive about me like throwing stuff away or considering it done if I'm hate panning it. I have found other ways to make products work for me, which has been helpful. But I don't know if there's anything that like I'm like, oh God, I'm so sad that that's gone. Like I know that there's some things where the brands are no longer, but I kind of feel like if a product is gone, then I would either repurchase it if I love it that much, or I would find something equivalent, or I probably already have something equivalent in my collection. I guess since I'm going to be putting on my highlighter, the one thing I am going to be sad is when my highlighter palette is used up because I custom made these shades by repressing, and I love these shades, and so I can't repurchase these. So that is one that I think I'd be upset when these highlighters are gone. Let's see, do you remember a specific makeup item that drew you into loving makeup? What's your oldest item in your collection? What drew me in? So I think like I started, okay, so I used to be like a bare minerals type of girl, but I still hated the way my makeup looked because I didn't know how to do makeup. But I used to just do like the buff tap and swish or whatever the hell it is. But I used to do that. And then I had a nurse that I worked with, and she started getting more and more into makeup. And so me and her started talking about makeup. We would go to Sephora together. So she kind of, and nowadays she wears no makeup and I do this. So who's the loser in that category? But with her, so makeup item that drew me into loving makeup, it probably was two things. I think it was finding foundations that actually worked for me. And I think the other one would be eyeshadow palettes. I think once I got the confidence to experiment with color and found out what colors of eyeshadows work on my like eye colors and my complexion, I think eyeshadows really has what's opened things up for me. The oldest thing in my collection might be my Naked Heat palette. Let me look. When did I buy my Naked Heat palette? I bought my Naked Heat palette, oh no, Just Peachy Mattes from Too Faced. That one is from September of 2017. And I don't think that I have anything older. Actually, my Tarte highlighting palette is from July of 2017. Any blushes? Nope. So this still is the oldest. I've gone through all of these. So it might be this. Let me look at my eyeliners because some of my eyeliners are old. Those are all from 2019. I've used everything else up. So it'll be this from July of 2017. My Too Faced Just Peachy Mattes from September of 2017, and then my Naked Heat from November of 2017. So those are my oldest products. And I still use them, kind of. Yes. Yeah, I'm using up the highlighter palette. I have that rolled in. I use my Too Faced Just Peachy Mats all the time. I actually have already completed that in my No Pan Left Behind because I love that palette so, so much to set up my looks. And so I think I had told you guys that I like taking my blush and blending out my eyeshadow look with it, but I have realized that there's some ingredient in this blush that causes me to have like contact dermatitis around my eyes, and that's really painful. So I'm just I wiped my brush off, so there's no more product on my brush, but I just want to kind of blow this out a little bit now that I have defined the shape with my concealer. And just blow that out just a tiny bit, soften the edges. There we go. But those are my oldest products. A little bit shameful. Little bit. Here's another one. Do you have any tips or advice for new panners to be successful on their panning journey? Do what works for you. Start panning the products that you love. Track if you want to, or don't track if you don't want to. Kind of just play around. It does not have to be perfect right off the bat. Realistic expectations and have fun. Period. Don't compare yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy. Do not compare yourself to others. That is my advice. Do you ever get tired of tracking? Do you want to have a day, week, month off? Those are very different questions, but off from tracking or off from just work? Do I ever get tired of tracking? Kind of. And actually this past month, I had to force myself to sit down, but this is a different time in my life. I've never felt tired of tracking up until now. And so that tells me that it has more to do about my current situation rather than my love of tracking and panning. So I'm trying to get back into it. Do I want a day, week, month off? From tracking and panning? No. From work? Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, I was just talking with my husband. I think I have 4 days off that I'm taking in May. But I told him that I want to take a week off in June just to do a big reset. And we need to have a plumber come out and look at some things. There's just those things that you need to be around for. So I'm thinking about taking a week off in June to kind of reset as well. I've been doing tracking since January and I haven't missed a day yet, which is very unlike me. If this is helping you, then congratulations on changing something that wasn't working before. So I want to see if bored or lack of motivation ever sets in. So I don't think it's ever boredom and it's never lack of motivation. It is feeling overwhelmed with other stuff. Because when I actually do come in here and sit down, I enjoy myself. So it's not boredom. Actually, I bought a new mascara because I only had one mascara left in my collection. So I'm trying out that mascara. But let me set my brows and we'll do mascara. How are your pets? Again, and unfortunately, so I have pet anxiety. It is the only anxiety that I have. Apart from going over bridges. So I won't lie about that. And when I was meeting with my therapist, she did the depression scale and the anxiety scale with me. And, I was like, I am actually very fortunate to not have anxiety. I lean more towards depression type symptoms whenever life gets stressful. So I told her, the only things that I have anxiety about is going over bridges, which we have to go over a bridge today, so that's fun, and my animals. And I have pet anxiety because of a trauma that happened with one of my dogs that passed away in 2022. So I feel like my anxiety is warranted because it's based in an actual event. So with Jane being 13 and a half, he's doing okay, but he's still 13 and a half. And so I kind of always feel like, because my trauma with my past dog, I came home from work and I was working in a position where I was in the office every day. So I came home from work and like he was in shock and I had to rush him to the hospital, like the pet hospital. Found out he was bleeding internally from a tumor in his heart, like traumatic, like horrible, because the pet hospital is 45 minutes away. So driving while your dog is like literally dying in the back seat is not fun. So I always kind of have that feeling. Unfortunately, we live in a very rural area, so like people burn on their properties all the time. And so anytime that I'm driving up north, like I'm driving towards my house and I see smoke in the air, I'm like, oh my God, is my house on fire? Are my dogs dying? Like these are the intrusive thoughts that roll through my head. So with Jane being older, again, in my head, I'm like, am I going to come home one day and he's just going to be dead? Those are the intrusive thoughts. Again, like I'm sorry if I'm triggering anybody else out there, and I'm sorry for anybody else like going through pet loss, but like that is where my anxiety is. And again, like I don't expect my job to work around my anxiety. I don't think that I should have a special accommodation for my anxiety. I don't. I'm not asking for that. I'm not delulu, with that. But it is something that I am working with, and it's something that I have to know about myself. So that's how they're doing. But otherwise, like I still will get home and I'll sit on the back deck with them and I'll let them run around, and they sleep up in the bed with us, so like they stay real close. I let them follow me around everywhere while I'm home. On the weekends, I try to be home more often and spend time with them. I'm intentionally taking days off during the month to just be at home with them. So like I'm making it work, but I mean, they are so super clingy. And like I said, Washburn is just getting more anxiety because his entire life, all he has known is me working from home. So, it just kind of, it is what it is. And like, my husband will also alternate taking days off and staying home. And so we're utilizing our employee benefits of having paid time off, and we're using it for this. Oh, I just got mascara on myself. Let me put on the rest of my mascara so I don't do that again, and then I'll be right back. I think I have a couple other little questions to answer, and then we will wrap up, and I will be able to go down to Destin with my husband. You guys, are you serious? So I'm going to let that dry because I'm going to show you guys how I flake that off once it's dry. And that'll give me time to answer the rest of my questions from you guys. Because I know that there was a question about like how long me and my husband have been together and like how we met. And actually, bless his heart and his soul. But like he was texting me like, when should I get ready? How much longer? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, if you message me one more time asking me for a timeline, and I understand like his brain and my brain work very differently. Him being a veteran, like if you're married to a veteran, they never want to be late. They always want to be on time. Like they always there's this clock that's constantly ticking for them and they just can't handle it. But I'm not like that. I'm like, you know what? This is our day. So we will get down there when we get down there. We don't have an appointment we have to make, but he just likes to know like when he needs to start doing whatever. And I'm literally like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm like, if you try to ask me to do the executive functioning in my brain to come up with a timeline, it's not going to happen. Let me see if this is dry enough yet. So I like the Sky High mascara. I wish the wand was a little bit less flimsy. Like it could be less flimsy and it'd be better, but it doesn't flake or smudge on me. So that is huge with me having oily eyelids. So I love the spoolie that's on my ABH one because it's just soft enough. And with this formula from Sky High, like it flakes off relatively well. Like we'll still have to fix that, but it flakes off pretty well from your skin. So you let it dry completely and then you just lightly flake it with a spoolie, brush away the flakes, and then we just have to fix that little dark spot from the mascara. But my husband and I met, oh goodness, back in the early 2000s, and we actually met, I just have a little bit of my concealer, we met through a car club that we were a part of down in a different part of Florida. So we're not originally from this part of Florida, but we met in a car club because we both enjoy, working on cars, fast cars, that kind of stuff. And that's why we still have a sports car to this day, because it's just a part of us. It's ingrained in us. So we met in a car club, and we have been together for over 17 years. So I met him in my early 20s, and I think we do pretty good. We don't take ourselves too seriously. Like, we have common goals. We have goals for our family, our money, our household, our pets. Like, we talk about like our career goals. Like, he's being extremely supportive of me right now. He's like, if you want to quit your job, quit your job. So, he is extremely supportive. He's supportive of me doing my videos. He's supportive of me doing my writing. So we have our own hobbies, which is important. So I can kick him out to do his own hobbies. I can sit down and do my own hobbies. And we don't take ourselves too seriously. And that has been the best thing for us. But that's about him. He's cool. He's an okay dude. He's the, what is it, like the okayest dog dad, the okayest husband out there. Of course, we have our moments, like every couple, but the moments that are hard are so few and far between, because we've set up the foundation for our expectations of each other, the expectations of the household, the expectations of the money. Like, we necessarily don't surprise each other with our behaviors or anything like that. So that has worked out well for us. So I cannot put this on while I'm talking. Give me 2 seconds. So I just pulled up the question from Tammy about my husband. So it says, how long have you been married? Did you have a big wedding? Where did you honeymoon? I'll maybe end with this story and maybe tease some other stuff so you guys can ask more questions if you want. But my husband and I eloped, and we did not have a honeymoon. So, okay. So like I said, my husband was in the Army. He was medically retired after getting injured in combat. And so he has retirement benefits. He is considered a retiree. So when I had to quit my job to do my internship during my bachelor's degree, we had already been together for 5 years. Like, we've lived together, we moved across the state with each other. So like, we've been together for a while. But at that point, I had to quit my job. I was working in banking, and I would no longer have health insurance. So like 2 weeks before I quit my job, I was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're getting married. So I actually never got proposed to. I just told my husband we're getting married. We went to the mall and I picked out my wedding set, which I'm not even wearing because during the panini, I stopped wearing my rings because I was getting eczema around my fingers because of all the water and all the hand washing. So we went to the mall and I picked out my wedding set and I made him buy it. And then when it was resized, we sat in the car in the parking lot of the mall and he just handed me the bag. He's like, this is for you. And I was like, yay. And then the last week that I was at work, I had 4 hours left of PTO, and I took a half day on a Wednesday from my job, and we went down to the courthouse and got married. I got married in jeans, and then we went out to a really nice seafood restaurant for dinner. So I joke, but I married my husband for his TRICARE. I married him for his benefits. And I'm not ashamed. You know, I was joking with some of my coworkers because some of them are in the reserves and you know all military related and things like that. And you know, I joking like I called myself a dependa. And if you know what that is, you either wear the badge with pride or you get offended, whichever way is your own prerogative. But I joke that I'm a dependa. I have my dependent card, and I married my husband for his TRICARE, and we've been together for over 17 years. So that is, and we never went on a honeymoon because we've always had the dogs. So we don't really get to travel. We don't really get to go on vacation because of the dogs. So we usually go on separate vacations, which again is fine by us. And as far as big weddings, I will say this. Um, like we are not necessarily extremely hugely family oriented like with our sides of the family, so getting together a big wedding and spending all that money was not appealing to us. Not only that, but I had been accepted to my master's program, and so it was either we can have a wedding or I can go get my master's, you know, or you know we can buy a house, and we actually did. So I got into my master's program. I did my master's in a year and a half, and then we bought a house. So we had common goals to work towards. Washburn is trying to get in this room. We had common goals that we were working towards with our finances, with our life path. And so we were able to buy a house that has now doubled in value because of the housing market. It isn't like we would not be able to afford this house right now at all, at all. So we were very fortunate at that time to be able to purchase our home. And I think it's because we didn't go in debt for a wedding. I mean, the entire time that we lived up here, none of my husband's family has come to visit, apart from my brother-in-law. So, you know, my mom has come up and visited a couple times, but it's been a long time since she's come. And we're only an 8-hour drive from our family, and nobody comes. So, for us to shell out a bunch of money to like show off a wedding for our family that can't even drive up to see us, we always have to go to them. No, no, we agreed. This is a lip stain from Sephora. It's not really going to match the look, but I love to have my lips stained for the day, so I've been putting this on pretty much every day. But spending all that money for family instead of saving that money and spending it on our future, it didn't make sense for us. So that is what we went with, and it is the best decision because we've gone to friends' weddings where they spent $100,000 on their wedding. We've been to weddings that they've spent $80,000 on their wedding and they were divorced 5 years later. Like it didn't make sense for us. And you know, I have a wedding board on my Pinterest, and I even bought shoes because we were going to have a photo shoot. That stuff ended up not mattering to us. And again, like everybody's different. This is what makes sense for us. This is what has set us up for more successes in our life. But that's how we feel about our wedding and our elopement and our lack of honeymoon. We were able to use that money for other things in our life. So Andy, bless her heart, she says, question, how are you doing mentally and physically? Physically, okay. Now I'm just going to sit here and chat with you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this long video. I might break this up into another video depending on if you guys want to hear my experience or hear more information. If you've been around for a while, like the past year, you might have noticed that I am shrinking. I am shrinking. Like I can see my collarbones, my face is thinner. So back last year, I was talking to you guys a lot about I was going to all my doctors. I was trying to figure out what was going on with my hormones. I had gained a lot of weight and my acne was out of control. And so since September of last year, I've been on one of the I have been on one of the GLP-1s. If you know, you know. I do not want any negative feedback because it has worked for me. It has come to light that there was some sort of ovarian syndrome going on with me, and that was the issue, along with some metabolism issues and some insulin issues. And so I started on the GLP-1 in September. I'm now down to a maintenance dose, and I follow up with my doctor every 3 months, and I'm actually seeing him in 2 weeks. But when I finally got a doctor to listen to me and try something, and I got my insurance to approve it, it has been a blessing. My moods have leveled out. My acne is pretty much gone. The weight has come off. It's been amazing. Now, I'm scared to come off of it, and I meet with a dietitian regularly. Like, I meet with all of my doctors regularly. My goal is to come off of it, and to maintain, you know. But unfortunately, a lot of times when you get off of these medicines, all of these symptoms come back. So, like I said, when I talk to my doctor in the upcoming weeks, I have an appointment with him in 2 weeks. When I talk to him, I'm going to kind of review all of this and see what we're doing. Plus, I'm very worried with the current stress going on, like if that would make the ovarian syndrome like flare more. So we are trying to figure it out. But definitely, if you guys want me to do another Get Ready With Me where I chat about my experience with that, I can. I know that it's a very hot topic for a lot of people, and some people are for it, some people are against it. Again, I don't care if people are against it, because this is my health, and I, communicated with my doctors, and this is what has been found to work for my particular body functioning syndromes, symptoms. So, yes. I was actually kind of scared to come on and talk about it, but the fact that I have literally been shrinking on camera, I'm not sure if anybody. I know Andy. I had told Andy when I started all of this, because I trust her. She's a good friend. But so she has noticed, and she's kind of like every 4 thumbnails, she's like, "Girl, where are you at? You can see it in your face. Oh my goodness, look! I mean, I have collarbones again. What is that? What is that?" Oh, Andy also asked, "What was the most difficult product that you've ever panned? What's the most exciting thing for you about makeup?" Most exciting thing would be eyeshadow and having a good base, so finding a good foundation. And what is the most difficult product you've ever panned? Probably blushes. Man, Benefit Dallas, because that's one that I've panned to completion. So Benefit Dallas, that is definitely the one. Curious about the wear time for the Urban Decay Face Bond. It is good, but not as good as Estee Lauder Double Wear. But it is getting hotter now, and since I'm leaving the house and sitting in a hot car for commuting, I am sweating more than I was when I was wearing the Estee Lauder Double Wear, but the wear time is not as good. Next time you repress something, can you record it? I need to see this to understand it. So I do have a huge repressing video for my highlighting palette, and I also have some repressing shorts. I typically have my repressing shorts linked down in my description box, and then I will tell Editing Erin to link my my repressing video for my highlighters. So I go through, it's like a 45-minute video of me repressing my highlighters. So hopefully that will explain everything. But I think that is all the questions. If I miss questions, or if you guys have other questions after watching this long ass video, then drop them down below and let me know, and I'll do another one of these and chit chat with you guys. Again, if there are any you guys are entitled to your own opinions, but I'm also entitled to delete comments. Not that I think that will happen in my space. like on my corner of the internet. But definitely you have the right to type in there whatever you want, but I also have the right to hit the delete button because we just don't need that kind of negativity in this world. So if you are planning to leave a not so nice comment, then don't waste your time because I'm just going to delete it. So we'll put that out there. You guys love Sassy Erin, and you love Erin with boundaries, so you guys asked for this. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and get going down to Destin. This is the final look with the Corner Rosa palette. You can get this same exact look from the Bloom palette, so if you have this one, you don't need Bloom. So save your money. Use your Corner Rosa palette. It is beautiful. It still works amazing. I've had this since let me see when I bought my Corner Rosa. I bought my Corner Rosa in April of 2020. So I've had this palette for 5 years and it still is going strong. So bust out your Corner Rosas for this beautiful peachy look for the summertime. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap up and I'm going to go. Thank you for hanging out with me. Hopefully you guys just put this video on in the background while you're like cleaning or chilling or doing anything else. I want to do another Get Ready With Me where I talk more about my writing because you guys had asked some questions about that, but we just did not get to it today. So if you have any questions about me writing, if you have any questions about the GLP-1s, if you have any other questions for me, drop them down below and I will schedule another Get Ready With Me, and then let me know what like eyeshadow look or color story you want me to do, and I'll do another look for you guys. But otherwise we're good. I'm going to encourage you to do all the things. I'm going to encourage you to hit a thumbs up on this video. Let me know that you are still enjoying my content. I'm also going to encourage, as I slap my leg, don't mind me over here. I'm also going to encourage you to hit that subscribe button if you're new or you're lurking. Consider sticking around for my psychobabble, project panning, conscious consumerism, beauty budgets, puppy dogs, all that stuff. I've already asked you guys to drop your comments. You know I love our conversations down below, but I'm going to go and enjoy the afternoon with my husband down in Destin. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you for caring about me. I mean, I'm just a woman sitting in her room with a camera, and you guys are just amazing, and I love each and every one of you, and I thank you so much for being here. But I'm going to wish all of you guys a absolutely beautiful day, and I'm going to catch you in my next one.